Hello again. Hi, I'm Ken.
And I'm Melissa, and we're here to talk today about why we chose Valencia and what are the good and bad things that we found in our search for Valencia. And I'll start by talking about something that's going to be a big change for us, but I think it would have been anywhere in Spain, but something we haven't mentioned yet, so I'll just bring it up, and that is the change in schedule. We know that Spain operates on a very different sort of lifestyle. They still get up early in the morning, but the night hours they last very long. Days are much longer in Spain. And that's probably from what you've heard of siesta, which, contrary to stereotypes, it's not people going home and taking a nap in the middle of the day. What it is those hottest times of the day, they get out of the sun, they get out of the heat, and they go and take a long lunch, or they go spend time with family, just something during the middle of the day to break up, so you're not out in the heat. And that causes a lot of the stores to close down in the middle of the day. So there will be, between maybe 2 and 5, which is prime lunchtime, is when the stores are closed and you can't really get things done. But then they'll open up again after the siesta time. So restaurants really don't open back up until 5, and dinner is, in the 9 or 10 o'clock kind of hour. So your big meal of the day is going to be during that siesta time, that 2 to 3. And then when you're eating at night, because we were like, we don't want to eat at 9 o'clock at night. That's really late. I don't like to eat before I go to bed. But that's going to be a light meal, just a little tapas, a little glass of wine while you're visiting with your friends and family and that sort of thing. So we know we're going to have a big schedule change. But that's a little easier for us now because we're not working, which is lovely.
One of the things that people that know me know, I like Diet Coke a little bit. I may have referred to it as the elixir of life on multiple occasions. This is also having to get used to in Spain. There is no Diet Coke in Spain. That's not a thing. They have Coke Zero. So I'm just going to have to buck up and get used to it. When we were in Spain, I did drink Coke Zero. It's not Diet Coke, but
it's better.
It's definitely different. So that's one thing I'm going to have to get used to. But that would have been any place where we went to Spain, and pretty much anywhere outside the U.S. Most places have what's called
Right.
Coke Light around the world. Like when I was in China, they had Coke Light. England has Coke Zero. So yeah, that's a me
Yes.
issue that I just have to come to grips with.
More of the food systems that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
But the biggest drawback for us of Valencia was what is called the Las Fallas Festival, which is a 2-week festival every March that has been happening in Valencia and the surrounding areas since before the United States was a
1774.
country. So it is a big cultural event for them. People come from all around the world to celebrate it. So there are millions of people that come in during that 2 to 3 weeks period in March. And there are fireworks every day. The main thing about Las Fallas, I believe, is that businesses and communities build these fallas, or these sculptures that represent something cultural or something political or something that's going on in the world, or so just something they love. They build them. They're huge, huge, and they are in the town for the 2 weeks, and people go and see them and vote on them, because at the end of the 2 weeks, all but one of them is burned in these massive bonfires that go on. And in addition to that, there's parades of women in beautiful costumes. It's a really extraordinary event, and we do want to experience it at one time. But anyone who has a dog knows dogs and fireworks really don't mix, and there's fireworks all day, every day for those 2 weeks. So we're really trying to figure out how we're going to handle that with Tinkerbell. She is terrified of fireworks. So this was a huge one, and probably the reason that we really didn't think we'd end up going with Valencia. We thought it would be Malaga, because Malaga does not have the same sort of celebration. But it just didn't outweigh everything else that felt home about Valencia. So we are going to try to mitigate it. We'll see if the areas of town that we have selected to live in, if those are going to be maybe quieter. That's probably hopeful thinking. Maybe we go out of town for a day or two or 2 weeks or what have you. So we're just going to have to try to find a way to mitigate that, because that's really the only big negative of Valencia in specifically.
Yeah, and as Melissa said, it's in March, and we're hoping to move in December. So we have to figure this out fairly quickly. We'll just have a few months from the time we get there. There's going to be a lot of upheaval with everything we have to do, figure out what we're doing for Las Fallas. After that, it should be a lot better, a lot calmer. There'll be some fireworks throughout the year. Valencia apparently loves fireworks, like the fireworks capital of the area, if not Spain. But hopefully, we are hoping Tinkerbell will get used to them, much like she has gotten used to the launches here in Cape Canaveral. She doesn't get scared by the normal launch. The sonic boom still scares her, but a regular launch doesn't. So we're hoping she can get used to the fireworks, realizing they're not bothering her, but we don't want to put her through that for the first time in Las Fallas when we just moved.
Right. But make it as soft a landing as possible for her.
So now let's talk about what the good things about Valencia and why we did choose Valencia. One of them, again, I am a brand snob on two things. We already talked about Diet Coke. That's not going to be there. But the other one is Heinz ketchup. And when we went there, I was very happy to see when we went to a market, I saw a bottle of Heinz ketchup. So at least I don't have to give up that. I'll just have to give up the Diet Coke. So I'm very happy about that one. And speaking of soft landing for Tinkerbell, she eats Caesar dog food. We also saw Caesar dog food in the store there as well. So while she probably would eat another dog food, at least we don't have to worry about her reacting to the food differently when we first get there, changing her diet. Again, trying to get a soft landing for her as possible. So she will still be able to get Caesar, which is a food sheet now. So we're very happy to see that.
Because Lord forbid you have to give up your Heinz ketchup. But
I'm already giving up Diet Coke.
The more important things,
yes.
Valencia is a very flat city. It doesn't have, it has what, maybe 300 feet in elevation from the highest to the lowest point. For people with bad knees, that's a very good thing, especially because we want to do a lot of walking, public transportation. We want to be able to experience as much as we can on our feet. I think the biggest elevation change in Valencia is probably one of the bigger things that we love about it, and that's the Turia Park. There was a Turia River that flowed right through the middle of Valencia, and some time ago, I have no idea how long ago, it was rerouted. So now it flows outside of the city, but they took this riverbed, this dry riverbed, which is 5+ miles long and very wide, and they converted it to parks, to green space, to running paths and places to picnic. It's just through the middle of the city, this huge green space. Valencia is very big on green spaces. Even on streets where there's not a lot of grass, you'll find trees, tree-lined streets, and a lot of focus on green, which we really did appreciate.
Another area we really liked when we first went to Valencia, we went to the Science Center. That is a major thing. It's actually right near Turia Park as well. And it had a lot of cool things. Like one of the things we did that I thought was fascinating was they have what's called the whisper wall. We stood on either end. We're about 100 yards apart from each other. And we could just whisper and we could hear it clearly. It was just very cool. Maybe not something you do on the daily, but it was something very cool. And they also have other exhibits. They have an aquarium there. They have a lot of different things that we definitely want to probably get an annual pass to the Science Center and explore that a lot.
Right.
It's a very large building within Valencia.
So there is a lot of technology and a lot of acceptance and welcoming of modern technology within the city, but there's also this huge sense of history. I think you looked it up, and Valencia was founded in 174 BC or something like that. As Americans, we have no concept of that age, that history. Europe has no concept of how big the United States is. We have no concept of the age. To be in a city that was founded BC, that's incredible. And some of the architecture still exists there. The cathedral is there. It houses what is commonly accepted as the Holy Grail, the most documented version of it anyway. But still, the buildings that in the old town, the Ciudad Vella, they have all of the architecture, and they try to maintain those buildings. Now, on the outskirts where we're looking, there's more modern buildings. So there is this appreciation of history and culture that we just don't have here, but still the welcoming and acceptance of new tech and the future, I suppose.
One thing that was interesting when we went to the cathedral, yes, they had what's documented as the Holy Grail. And our tour guide also said, oh, over here is an original Goya. Now, I consider myself uncultured swine when it comes to artwork, but I've heard of Goya. So I figured, okay, that's a pretty big deal to like go see an original Goya. And she was like, there are Goyas everywhere in Spain and around here. That's not a big deal. But I thought it was really cool that they had an original artwork of a well-known artist. You just don't see that here in the United States. At least I'm not aware of where anyone can just go that's not in a museum. So again, that's where the history and the culture that fits in more with Valencia, but then they do have the new as well. So that was a neat experience.
Right. One of the big things for me, especially, is the food supply, which, you know, anyone who lives in the United States, you know, we're huge. We don't grow enough food, raise enough food to supply the residents. So we import everything. What that means is it's coming in from all around. It's not allowed to ripen. It's preservatives are added all over. It's just not a healthy food system. In Spain and probably all around Europe, they don't allow all of those preservatives. None of that is allowed to be in the food system. The produce, the vegetables, you can get them. We went to several mercados. There are 5 or 6 mercados in Valencia alone where local people are doing cheeses and hams and meats and fish and produce, vegetables and fruits. And every single box of your vegetables and your fruits are marked with the name of the farm, the location of the farm, so you know exactly where it came from. When it's sourced locally, it's allowed to ripen on the vine or on the tree or what have you, and you get it within a day or two. So we weren't able to sample the vegetables, but we were able to sample some of the fruits there, the oranges, the strawberries, and it was just incredible how much better they were. They were juicy. They were a strawberry that was red all the way through inside, which you don't see here. When you get fresh produce, it just tastes better and it's better for you. So I'm really excited about that.
And one thing I thought was interesting going about the vegetables, if you go get a pepper at the grocery store here, they all have the same shape, right? They all, you know what a red pepper looks like, or a yellow red pepper in the United States, they all look about the same. In Spain, they look nothing like that. They were longer, they were fatter, they would be multicolors because they were just naturally how they were grown when they were picked. So you don't necessarily just see this, you know, mostly circular red pepper. You see an elongated one, and it could have a little bit of yellow in it or green. It was just fascinating, the differences in the produce, the way it's harvested there versus what we get here in the United States.
And it's not added to, they don't add colors to it. They don't try to genetically modify them and make them perfect looking in the grocery store. It is a natural thing, so you get it in its natural state. So I'm just really excited about that.
Right. And another thing that was very important to us to pick the city, because you see we've mentioned Tinkerbell, and I'm wearing a Tinkerbell shirt today, is to get a place that is very pet friendly. Because we definitely want, she's coming along, so we want to be very pet friendly. And Valencia is a very pet friendly city. It's like the Turkey Park that Melissa was talking about earlier is very pet friendly. They have those tree wells all over the place. She can ride the bus, she can ride the trains, she can even go into restaurants, where that's something that we're not used to here, right? If we go to a restaurant here, we're sitting outside, which is still good, but we can't go inside. In Valencia, all 3 of us can go inside the restaurants, that she is welcome.
Right, and that's awesome. I mean, anywhere really except for the markets. Any place that sells food, a grocery store or a market, I think is the only places that we saw that they're really not welcome. And of course, it is up to an individual business, but most of what we saw, pets were absolutely welcome. Now, being the age that she is, we do have a stroller for her, so that's an option that may give us more ability to bring her in as well, but as long as they're behaved.
She'll get her own Metro pass so that she can go on the buses with us. So yeah, she'll be on the buses, the trains, all that. And like I said, Valencia is, again, helping her from the soft landing that she can go pretty much everywhere where we go.
Right. Because that leads to one of the other things, was the transportation. We talked a little bit about it in our last video, but we did need something because we don't want to own a car. We wanted some place that was walkable, but it is still a city roughly the size of San Francisco city limits is what I looked at. So there will be areas that we'll need to take public transportation. We rode the buses. They're clean, they're frequent. I've never had to take a bus before, luckily. I've been lucky that way, I guess, because I've never lived in a huge city. But they were, like I said, we found the routes. We were able to navigate ourselves, and we felt comfortable on the buses. There's also a subway system, which we did not take, but our realtor did tell us all about it. She takes it quite frequently because she lives outside of town. So if you have further distance to go, she feels safe and comfortable taking the subway as well. Yeah. The trains, we did take a high-speed train to, or from Madrid, I suppose. We have not taken the intercity trains, but they are available as well, and easily accessible right there in Valencia, of course, as well as the airport to get us outside of Spain.
Yeah, and I've ridden public buses in New York and Chicago, but not for 20 years. So I don't know if this is common or not, but in Valencia, when we got this bus stop, it would say, okay, we're waiting for bus 10. There was a digital sign saying we'll be here in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it was. And they were pretty accurate. So you did get a constant update as to where the bus is. And because you needed to know when it was coming, you needed to wave it down to stop. If you didn't wave it down or someone on the bus has to stop, the bus would just keep rolling right by that stop.
I didn't know that. That was something I learned on this trip. That we're on the bus. They don't make a stop unless somebody's asking for it. So somebody outside waving them down or somebody inside pressing the button to say, I need the next stop. So otherwise they just keep going. That was the learning experience for me.
Yeah, because most bus stops in Valencia, at least the ones we were on, would be like 3 or 4 different lines, if not more, at each stop. So even if someone's waiting, they may or not be waiting for that bus that the driver's going on. Whereas like here, the buses, it's like one line. It's just pretty much one route here in Canaveral. There's not a lot of options.
Right. And I guess that covers the basics of it, I guess, of why we chose Valencia and what we're looking forward to about Valencia. And I'm sure as we get there, we'll have different opinions or more expanded opinions, and we'll take you with us on that ride. But I guess that's it for today. In our next video, we're going to talk about the process of applying for a visa to move to a different country, not just travel, but move to, what you need to do to prepare for that application process, and what you need to do here at home to prepare to move, because it's a lot and it's pretty overwhelming, but we'll see if we can make you feel more comfortable doing it.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.